going on, guys? Creative King here, back again for another video, and today I am bringing you the Season 13 Saviors Legend tier list. So we're going to be going over all 21 legends. That includes Newcastle, the new addition this season, and I will be giving you my personal thoughts as we rank them. And yeah, let's jump right in. If you enjoy this content, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And without any further ado, guys, let's jump right into this. So starting with D tier, we'll work our way up. I'm sorry, but we got Mirage. Doesn't help the team. He's pretty easy to track, and you almost will always know what the decoy is and who the real one is. It's pretty easy to tell the difference. And in his ultimate, it's the Mirage that's blinking with the blue outline the longest is the real one. Also, his heirloom is pay to lose, so if you ever see a Mirage with the heirloom and his decoys are not holding an heirloom, that's the real one. So yeah, not really that great. He's fun to mess around with in pubs, but he's definitely not someone that I would pick very often. Alright, so moving right along, that's the only legend I have for D tier. So moving up into C tier, let's see here. Who should we cover first for C tier? Alright, let's see what a good spot. Well, actually, Lifeline. Don't know why it took me so long to decide which one to cover first. Should have just gone straight in. Lifeline, oh Lifeline. I feel sorry for you. Over the years, she's been good and slowly fallen off in the meta, honestly. It's just, Gibby bubbles are better. Now we have Newcastle. It's just, yeah. Better legends that basically do her job for her with the addition of the IMC vaults, the smart loot system. It's just Lifeline's becoming more and more useless. The only reason she is not in D tier is because she can res 2 people at once, hands free while still fighting, and that's the only reason that she is not in D tier, is because her double revive ability is the only valuable part of her kit currently. Alright, so who do we have next for C tier? Let's see here. Revenant. Revenant, he was good, he was alright, he was buffed and he was good, then he was nerfed because of Revtane. So where he sits currently, his silences are good, his passive's still good, his ultimate though is what puts the nail in the coffin and brings him to C tier. Especially on maps like Stormpoint, which we have this season. It's just, you're not gonna see Revenants running around because of his limited range on the death totem and stuff, and how big and loud it is. It's just, you're gonna attract every team in the map to you, and the death totem will probably wear off, or you'll run out of its range before you even manage to finish wiping the team. So for those reasons, Revenant is C tier. Alright, moving right along, we have Loba also in C tier. Now, Loba, her looting and ultimate is amazing. Her bracelet's a great get out of jail free card. The issue is that her bracelet is almost always buggy in some way, shape, or form. Like, no matter what, they always send out patches and fixes, but always is buggy and broken. And again, this is Stormpoint. Her ultimate's similar to the Rev Totem. Lots of noise, giant visual effect. It's just gonna lure teams to you. It's just that's just it. It's gonna lure so many teams to you, especially on Stormpoint where everything's so big and open. If you see someone, like I know personally, if I see someone Loba ulting or Rev Toteming, I'm running in there, getting my team together, and we push in there on them and catch them off guard. So for those reasons, Loba is C tier. Alright, so moving on to B tier. Starting off B tier, we have Fuse. Fuse, he's seen a lot of up and down. I've seen him played a whole lot more in ranked now than I have in seasons past. He's definitely good, and if you know how to use him, he's gonna be phenomenal. If you are a good, solid Fuse player, he'll easily slip into A and S tier for you if you know how to use him, if you're using him correctly. The big problem for Fuse, lack of mobility, and his mother load is just really underwhelming. I mean, Respawn literally made a mockery of Fuse's ultimate in the Season 13 launch trailer, where he fired at the giant beast and it did absolutely nothing. It's like, that's basically what his mother load is. It can be helpful in blocking off a doorway or maybe indoors, but aside from that, his knuckle cluster and his ability with grenades is where he's really gonna shine. And if you know how to use that, he's gonna be really good for you. Otherwise, he's gonna sit comfortably in B tier. But moving right along, our next B tier legend is going to be Crypto. I know I do lots of streams with my cousin Eagle and my sister Maple, and Eebs, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. But yeah, B tier for Crypto. If you know how to play him, like my cousin does, he's phenomenal. He really is good, especially with the buff he received at the start of last season. The big thing for Crypto is his steep learning curve. To learn Crypto takes a lot of time and a lot of practice, and most of the time it's not something someone's going to want to put time or practice into, especially when you have alternatives like Seer or Bloodhound present. So that's why finding a decent Crypto is kind of hard, because most of the time they're just going to sit on their drones too much, and yeah, y'all know the rest. But when you have a good Crypto player, like my cousin, who doesn't sit on his drone all the time, but knows drone placement so it's not always getting shot out, and knows when and when not to trigger the EMP, Crypto can easily shoot up into A and S tier as well. It just comes down to how good are you at playing Crypto, and for those reasons, he'll sit comfortably in B tier as well. And now on to my sister Maple. She's gonna kill me, but in B tier goes Watson. Watson is really good, but her kit still has some bugs to it. She received her buff at the start of Season 11, and she's so much better than she was. But still, just some bugs in her kit are making it, they're just making it a little too much to put her in A tier. But I mean, she's good, and if you know how to use her, she's amazing. You just gotta have that passive playstyle, which most people do not want. But the big thing is destroying your own team's... Her ultimate destroys your own team's grenades and abilities. For example, if you're playing Caustic and you have a Watson on your team, if your Watson throws down her Watson pylon and then you try to throw down your Caustic ult, her pylon's going to destroy your Caustic ult. Like, that shouldn't be a thing. And if you have a Horizon on your team and she tries to throw her ultimate right by your team's Watson, her pylon will destroy that too. It's like, her pylon shouldn't destroy your team's grenades or abilities. And for reasons like that, she is going to be sitting in B tier. Alright, moving on, we have A tier, starting off with Caustic. Caustic received a couple of nerfs in his barrels so they can be destroyed, but aside from that, good barrel placement, Caustic is still one of the best defensive legends. So yeah, Caustic's gonna continue to sit comfortably in A tier, not a lot to say, he's still really good, great for holding off the buildings, definitely gonna be more valuable than a Watson, just because of the fact that Watson destroys team abilities with her pylon, and that's like the only reason I don't have Watson in A tier alongside Caustic. But yeah, Caustic is really good, still a solid defensive pick. If you're holding down buildings, you're gonna want a Caustic. Alright, next up in A tier, Rampart. Now this is probably gonna surprise a lot of you, saying that she was pretty bad until her buff at the start of this season. But the fact that her amp covers go up faster and have more health, as well as the faster spin up time for her ultimate, her Sheila turret, you can whip that out super fast. She has become a key pick. She is a sleeper this season. If you are underestimating Rampart this season, you're gonna get your butt kicked, because she is really good. You just gotta learn how to use her, spend some time in the firing range, or even go and watch the Gaming Merchant. The Gaming Merchant's a Rampart main, and if you watch some of his videos, you'll pick up how to use Rampart correctly pretty quick, and I tell you, you'll be quite happy. The buff she received is gonna be amazing, and if you couple Rampart alongside a Newcastle, you're gonna be in really good shape. But I will cover that in a future video going over ranked tips for the new season. Alright, so moving right along in A tier, we are going to have Bangalore. Now, Bangalore, I was debating between putting B and A, and I think she's just barely A tier because it's Storm Point this season. And there's a lot of open area. So smoking yourself to run and get some cover and try and break line of sights is going to be really helpful. And that was really the big deciding factor on why I'm putting Bangalore in A tier instead of B tier. just so you can use the smokes to make a good getaway over open area. As well as her ultimate, throw that down in an open region to keep the teams from chasing after you if you're trying to make a getaway as well. Not to mention her standard offensive capabilities. Those, don't need to say too much about it. They're good, definitely smoke out the enemies to break line of sight that way in an engagement. And be sure to use her ultimate for zoning if you want to try and make a push, try and get the enemies to run out of a certain direction by throwing her ult. But the big thing that's keeping her in A tier is the fact of her potential on Storm Point to help the squad make a retreat. So, alright, with that said, we are moving on to Pathfinder. Now, Pathfinder is just like Crypto. He has a very, very steep learning curve. However, if you can master that learning curve, Pathfinder is going to be your best friend. He is really good. The only other downside to Pathfinder is he has no passive, and his hitbox is the size of a mini fridge. But if you can overcome those things and strafe, the hitbox won't be a problem. And if you know how to grapple, you're going to be in good shape. The amount of plays you can do with Pathfinder and his zip lines for rotations on Storm Point, he's going to be a really good legend to play this season if you know how to play him correctly. And moving right along, next up, we have Horizon. Now, Horizon, not much to be said there. She hasn't received any changes, but she's skyrocketed in pick rate, and more people are starting to play her, but she's really, really good still. Like, even with the changes that she had at the start of, what was it, season 10 or 11, where she could spend a little bit more time on the top of her grav lift, she's still really viable. And here on Storm Point, with certain locations being higher than others, being able to have that grav lift and being able to use her black hole to pull some people away and stuff, she's gonna be a good sleeper pick this season. Don't underestimate Horizon. She has a lot going for her, especially when you're launching out of the grav cannons. Her passive will negate the little stun effect you get at the end of it, and that can also be a big deciding factor as well. So definitely keep your eye on Horizon. Alrighty, next up, Mad Maggie. And I'm putting her in B tier. We moved on to A tier because I kind of forgot about Maggie, but Maggie's going to sit comfortably in B tier. Her tactical, it's so good. It's so good. You got someone hiding behind a door, slap that in, start drilling on them. Oh, they're hiding behind a wall in a corner, and you know they are. Boom, slap that riot drill on. Her Wrecking Ball, good speed, so if you want to use that to traverse an open field on Storm Point, definitely a good idea. And her passive for shotguns, the fact that the Mastiff is now in the care package and is doing insane damage, definitely don't sleep on Mad Maggie. If you get yourself a Mastiff from the care package while you're running Mad Maggie, you're going to be in really, really good shape. Alright, now back to A tier. Next up in A tier, we're putting Seer. Now, Seer hasn't changed at all either, just like Horizon, but more people are starting to realize how useful he really is. And he really is a good pick. If you want an alternative to Bloodhound, use Seer. His ultimate's great for tracking people down, keeping them inside that bubble. His heartbeat sensor is really good. And of course his tactical that'll interrupt reses and heals. He'll be a good counter for Newcastle reses, I am sure. Alright, next up we have A tier Wraith. And I know all you Wraith mains are going to start screaming in the comment section. But let's be real, Wraith is not S tier. In my opinion, she's A tier. She's not bad. Don't get that. Don't take that the wrong way. She is not bad. She is a good legend. It's honestly the fact that most people who play her don't know how to use her correctly. And the big thing is they don't know how to utilize her portal correctly, and that's why I'm putting her in A tier. If you are a good Wraith, like all those streamer Wraiths that really know what they're doing, that use her in ALGS and they know when to port and where to position the port, S tier, absolutely S tier. But most people just don't. They either use her portal incorrectly, or they don't use her portal at all. And for those reasons, she's going in A tier. But if you know how to use her correctly, she's a very valuable asset to the team. Definitely don't forget about Wraith. It's just the fact that people just don't know how to use her portal that puts her in A tier for me. Alright, so next up in A tier, we have Octane. Now, Octane suffers similarly to Wraith, basically. So don't overstim. The biggest thing I see with Octanes, especially in ranked when I get a random Octane, they stim ahead, they leave the rest of the squad, they stim themselves down to have no health and they only have shield, then they get downed, and then they scream in the chat that it was all our fault. It's like, if you're gonna play Octane, his jump pad is great for making the rotations and the plays, especially on Storm Point. His stim is great for traversing all the open land on Storm Point. Just don't overdo it. And that's the reason why he's A tier. People just overuse his stim so much that they're left on no health, and then they're a pretty easy kill. So just like Wraith, it's just knowing when to use his abilities is what's really keeping him in A tier instead of being S tier for me. Now, for our final 4 picks, they are all S tier, starting off with Ashe. Ashe came with the addition of Storm Point season 11, and she really is a good offensive legend. Her portal is slightly different from Wraith's, but it's great for making huge, fast offensive pushes or a really quick retreat. Also, all the information that she gives on death boxes on the map, or when you scan the death box to locate the team if it's still alive, very, very valuable, especially with the new ranked changes this season and how they have and haven't been changed in terms of KP and placement. So if you already have KP and ranked and you just want to get going for placement and you want to make a safe rotation, have an Ashe look at the map and see where the biggest cluster of death boxes are that are fresh, and then you just got to know to steer clear there and play zone in a certain way so you don't get caught up in all the fighting that's still going on. So definitely pick an Ashe this season. She is not going to let you down. Next up, my main and personal favorite, Bloodhound. He's been S tier in the meta for so long now, and he's going to continue to stay up here for the foreseeable future unless Respawn decides to make any changes to him. But until then, he's the best recon legend out of all of them. Fast, easy scans, instant information. His passive for tracking the footsteps up to 90 seconds, just really good to know. You can just track anywhere, abilities, doors broken, anything. It's just, his passive's amazing for seeing where people are and how long they were there for and how far away they might be. And of course, his ultimate, Beast of the Hunt, heightens all your senses, infrared sight. It's just a perfect combination of being a good recon and an aggressive character. And you can play him offensively and defensively. He just slots into pretty much any team comp you want, so always have a trusty Bloodhound. And next up, we have Gibraltar. Now, Gibraltar here, same story as Bloodhound. Hasn't been changed much, and until he's gonna sit on top of the meta. His dome shield is always clutch because it's indestructible. Easy for the fast res inside the dome. His airstrike is good, especially on Storm Point with everything being so open. And yeah, his arm shield providing extra health while ADSing, always just good. So definitely have a Gibraltar. Next up in S tier is Valkyrie. Now, Valkyrie did receive a nerf at the start of the season where she can no longer spin in her ultimate. However, that just means you're going to want to have a Gibraltar on your team even more. Just throw down a Gibby bubble, and then have Valk ultimate inside the bubble, and that will pretty much set you up for a successful ultimate 9 times out of 10. So, really nothing that really hurt Valkyrie. She's still a must pick, especially on Storm Point for rotations. Her Missile Swarm is great, stuns, does damage. Of course, her ultimate's her ultimate. You gotta have that for rotations on a map like Storm Point. And her jetpacks are great for reaching high places, especially with the height variations on Storm Point. And lastly, we have Newcastle in S tier. S tier is where Newcastle resides, in my opinion. He's only been out for a couple days, and I was debating on whether to put him in A tier or S tier. But honestly, with how he's been played, how I've played with him personally, and how I've seen other people play him, I think hands down he's an S tier legend. He's amazing. You can res while moving. Gold bag is gonna make him clutch just like Gibby. The fact that you use his knockdown shield, so the higher tier knockdown you have, the longer you can shield the person you're resing for, is amazing. His drone shield, which is basically just a knockoff Lifeline shield, really, really helpful and really good for making a push up or a fall back, since you can move the drone around. And his ultimate castle wall, great way to set up a nice little spot. If you were have ultimate high ground in the final zone, like on top of a rock or something, you slap down that castle, you're going to be in good shape. And it's his ultimate that's going to pair really well with Rampart, because you slap down the castle wall and then you put up some Rampart amp covers to shoot through, you're going to be in good shape and it's going to be a pain for a team to try and push you. But anyway guys, that's going to do it for my Season 13 Apex Legends tier list. Do you agree? Do you not agree? Be sure to let me know where you would rank these legends in the comments down below. But anyway guys, thank you all so very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Those links are in the description down below for you to check out. If you want to join the Nerd Herd Discord, that too is also linked down below. But anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone!